want to give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahawah, Bahasham, Yahawashi, Bahasham, Qadash. Rabbi understood the elder apostles of great Millstone who teach and rule well, and Shalom to the sincere Archemus brings truth and sincerity. Shalom. In this lesson, I want to cover the verse in Acts chapter 10 and verse 28. And I want to break down what it actually means. So this is Acts chapter 10 verse 28. And he said unto them, ye know how that it is an unlawful thing for a man that is a Jew to keep company or to come into one of another nation. But the Most High showed me that I should not call any man common or unclean. So before I want to break it down, I want to speak a little bit on Acts chapter 10 itself, because we come across Cornelius, who's an Israelite, but we find out that that he basically is a Gentile that is being brought back into the fold of Yahawashi. We see that Peter has a dream, which the dream is speaking about the nation of Israel that were mingled among the heathens, wherein there is no pleasure, because they basically transgressed the law, statutes, commandments of Yahawashi, and did according to their works, the works of the heathen. But we come to find out that the Most High is bringing them back through Yahawashi. So that's why I want to break down Acts chapter 10 verse 28 to give a better understanding of what was actually going on, during that time. So I'm going to read the verse again. This is Acts chapter 10 verse 28. And he said unto them, ye know how that it is an unlawful thing for a man that is a Jew to keep company or to come unto one of another nation. But the Most High showed me that I should not call any man common or unclean. And the first thing that I want to do is I want to look at what the word of another nation goes into. You see? Because in order to understand what is actually what actually is going on, we need to understand what actually is being said over there, what's actually being meant, instead of what we can read over here. Because if you just read it verbatim, you might think that this is speaking about the other nations, besides the Israelites. But if you go into the interlinear on the Blue Letter Bible, you come to find out that it's still speaking about the Israelites, because this is Acts chapter 10 verse 28, and where it says one of another nation, which in the Greek is alophilis.
Alophilos.
Which, if you look it up, it says out in biblical usage is foreign. That's basically what is being meant if you have the whole word aliphilos together, which basically is a compound word. It exists, is comprised of two separate words, and the root word of the first is allos, which that goes into another or other, you see. And then you have the second word, which is philos, phile.
Strong's G 5443. Phule.
So it's a compound word, alufole, which means reading in verbatim of another nation. But if we go to the outline biblical usage for the word phule, it says a tribe. In the New Testament, all the persons descending from one of the 12 sons of the patriarch Jacob, a nation people. So now we know that it all stems back, to the descendants, from one of the 12 sons of the patriarch Jacob, which means it's referring to the nation of Israel. So when it says in Acts chapter 10 verse 28, and he said unto them, ye know how that it is an unlawful thing for a man that is a Jew to keep company or come unto one of another tribe, one of the other tribes of the nation of Israel. But the Most High showed me that I should not call any man common or unclean. So why was this being said? because back in the days, when we were given certain laws, there were certain requirements for us to keep those laws. If those laws would not have been kept, in certain instances, we will be cut off from the congregation of Israel. We basically would be esteemed as these heathens. And there are a couple examples that I want to grab, and then I want to go into, why the Most High said, in the scriptures, that where it says, but the Most High showed me that I should not call any man common or unclean. So I also want to show you why that had been said. And also the first example that I want to grab is in the book of Genesis. Chapter 17. And I want to start off at verse 6. It says, and I will make thee exceeding fruitful, and I will make nations of thee, and kings shall come out of thee. And I will establish my covenant between me and thee, and thy seed after thee in their generations, for an everlasting covenant, to be a power unto thee and to thy seed after thee. So this is the Most High speaking unto Abraham, saying that he's making a covenant with basically with our people, with him and then his descendants. Verse 8, and I will give unto thee and to thy seed after thee the land wherein thou art a stranger, all the land of Canaan for an everlasting possession, and I will be their power. And the Most High said unto Abraham, thou shalt keep my covenant, therefore, thou and thy seed after thee in their generations. This is the covenant which ye shall keep between me and you, and thy seed after thee. Every man child among you shall be circumcised. So we are commanded, we were commanded back in those days, to circumcise every man child that had been born on the 8th day, But also something had been said in that same chapter concerning what would happen if we would not, do this to our children. What would happen? This is verse 14, and the uncircumcised man-child, whose flesh of his foreskin is not circumcised, that soul shall be cut off from his people, he hath broken my covenant. So the guy that would not have been circumcised, he basically would not be part of our nation. Would be esteemed as an outsider, as a heathen. So we were also not supposed to deal with those people no more. Because they were not doing the will of Yahawah Yahawashi. Another example that I want to give is in the book of Exodus. Chapter 12 and verse 19, and this is concerning the Pesach, which we are supposed to keep for an everlasting, how you say it? Forever, throughout our generations, But this is what would happen if, we would not, eat according to the commandments laid out for us. Because we are supposed, during that Pesach, we are supposed to eat unleavened bread. We should take all the leaven out of our house, to the best of our abilities in this day and age. This is Exodus chapter 12, verse 19. 7 days shall there be no leaven found in your house. For whosoever eateth that which is leavened, even that soul shall be cut off from the congregation of Israel, whether he be stranger or born in the land. He shall eat nothing leavened, in all your habitation shall ye eat unleavened bread. This shows you that, those people that would not, do according to this commandment, that would eat leavened bread, bread with leavening agents in it, they will be cut off from the congregation of Israel. They would be no more part, of our nation. They would be seen as outsiders and heathens. So we were not supposed to deal with these people. That's why Peter said in Acts chapter 10, verse 28, You know that how it is an unlawful thing for a Jew to keep company, or to come in unto one of another tribe. Those that were cast off. Because we can see, for instance, in the book of what is it? Second Kings. What is it? Second Kings. Or First Kings. Second Kings. Chapter 17 and verse 18. This is concerning the time when Jeroboam was king over the kingdom of Israel, which was the northern kingdom. So this is 2 Kings chapter 17 verse 18. Therefore the Lord Yahawah was very angry with Israel and removed them out of his sight. There was none left but the tribe of Judah only, which this refers to the southern kingdom, Judah, Benjamin, and Levi. Also Judah kept not the commandments of the Lord Yahawah their power, but walked in the statutes of Israel which they made. And the Lord Yahawah rejected all the seed of Israel, and afflicted them, and delivered them into the hand of spoilers, until he had cast them out of his sight. You see, so the whole nation, the whole northern kingdom, basically was rejected, by Yahawashi and Yahawashi. And the southern kingdom was not supposed to affiliate themselves with them, and they basically were cast out of the land of Israel. Verse 21, for he rent Israel from the house of David, and they made Jeroboam the son of Nebat king. And Jeroboam drove Israel from following the Lord Yahawah, and made them sin a great sin. For the children of Israel walked in all the sins of Jeroboam, which he did, they departed not from them, until the Lord Yahawah removed Israel out of his sight, as he had said by all his servants the prophets. So was Israel carried away out of their own land to Assyria unto this day. And eventually the northern kingdom decided to go even into a further country, which we can read in 2 Esdras chapter 13, around the 40th verse. And they went to the Americas, which in this day and age is known as North and South America. But the point is, the northern kingdom was rejected, and them being rejected, the southern kingdom, which kept their loyalty still to Bahasham and Yahawashi, as far as we can read, they were not supposed to deal with the northern kingdom no more. The southern kingdom was not allowed to deal with the northern kingdom no more. And if you also go to the account in the Apocrypha, in the book of Maccabees, we can read that a lot of people, during the time of the Greeks, eventually forsook the covenant of Yahawashi and Yahawashi. This is 1 Maccabees chapter 1 and verse 11. In those days went there out of Israel wicked men, who persuaded many, saying, let us go and make a covenant with the heathen. Which we're not supposed to do actually. We're not supposed to make covenant with these heathens that are round about us, for since we departed from them, we have had much sorrow. So they were like, man, let us just, make a covenant with them so we have better circumstances to live by. So this device pleased them well. Then certain of the people were so forward herein that they went to the king, who gave them license to do after the ordinances of the heathen. So they basically got the okay sign, like you can do that which you have imagined in your heart. Do according to the heathens. Verse 14, whereupon they built a place of exercise at Jerusalem according to the customs of the heathen, which is a gymnasium, which basically goes into exercising naked. And made themselves uncircumcised, and forsook the holy covenant, and joined themselves to the heathen, and were sold to do mischief. You see, so they forsook the holy covenant that was being made with Yahawah and Yahawashi. They did all these things that the heathens did. So they were esteemed as heathens. And those people that, were faithful to Yahawah and Yahawashi were not supposed to deal with those people no more. Jumping down to, because this is what King Antiochus wrote to his whole kingdom. Jumping down to verse 41. Moreover, King Antiochus wrote to his whole kingdom that all should be one people, and everyone should leave his laws. So all the heathen agreed according to the commandments of the king. You see, so a petition was made that everybody should leave their laws and should do according to the law that Antiochus put forth. Basically, the laws of the Grecians. Verse 43, the Greeks, Slovakia. Yea, many also the Israelites consented to his religion, and sacrificed unto idols, and profaned the Sabbath. You see, so they profaned the Sabbath, sacrificed unto idols, basically for Yahawah, became like the heathens. For the king had sent letters by messengers unto Jerusalem and the cities of Judah, that they should follow the strange laws of the land, and forbid burnt offerings, and sacrifice, and drink offerings in the temple, and that they should profane the Sabbath and festival days. What is one of those days that we used to keep back in the days, and that we still do, since we are basically came back in the truth? The Pesach. So they even profaned, the holy days, and polluted the sanctuary and the holy people, set up altars and groves and chapels of idols, and sacrificed swine's flesh and unclean beasts. That they should also leave their children uncircumcised, and make their souls abominable with all manner of uncleanness and profanation. You see, so here we can read that the children were uncircumcised. Of course, there also were females, women, back in those days, women, because they tried to keep the laws, statute, commandments of Yahawah and Yahawashi, that didn't agree to what Antiochus wrote to his whole kingdom. But there were also people that did. We could read in Genesis chapter 17, verse 14, that those children that were uncircumcised should be cut off from the nation of Israel. For they basically broke the covenant. Verse 49, to the end that they might forget the law and change all the ordinances. And whosoever would not do according to the commandments of the king, he said he should die. Should that put fear in the people, that they were willing to, forsake Yahawah and Yahawashi, but there were also those that kept faithful, which we can read about in the book of 1 Maccabees as well. Back to Acts, because I first showed you, why, it had been said that the Jews, were not supposed to keep company with those of the other tribes. You see, because, the Jews, they kept the law, statutes, commandments of Yahawah and Yahawashi. But the other tribes, the majority, they forsook Yahawah and Yahawashi. Because we can also read how there's one a prophetess named Anna from the tribe of Asher, who was there in the time of Yahawashi. So there were still people of the other tribes, that did keep the law, statutes, commandments of Yahawah and Yahawashi. That we're doing the things and that were basically not sent, to the Americas. It didn't go over there. So now I wanna go into why Peter said that the Most High showed him that he should not call any man common or unclean. Because that's what Yahawashi died for. He died for the sins of the nation of Israel. Which you can read in Acts chapter 5. This is Acts chapter 5, verse 30. The power of our fathers raised up Yahawashi, whom ye slew and hanged on a tree. Him hath the Most High exalted with his right hand to be a prince and a savior, for to give repentance to Israel and forgiveness of sins. So even the sins that the other tribes committed, they forsook the ways of Yahawah, Bahasham, Yahawashi, even their sins were forgiven through Yahawashi. But in order for their sins to be forgiven, they had to accept Yahawashi, and believe that he was the one, that he was the one prophet that had been sent by Yahawah, Bahasham, Yahawashi, as the Messiah, as his only beloved, as his only begotten son. So this is this is the book of Ephesians, chapter 2, verse 11. Wherefore remember that ye, being in time past Gentiles in the flesh, were called uncircumcision by that which is called the circumcision in the flesh made by hands. So why were they in time past called called Gentiles? Because they were Israelites, that had a Gentile state of mind. They did their ways according to the heathens. They had not circumcised their flesh. They were uncircumcised. And they were called the uncircumcision, but that which is called the circumcision, those that knew that they were Israelites, that did keep the law, statutes, commandments of Yahawah, Bahasham, Yahawashi, and also circumcised their children. Verse 12, that at that time you were without Yahawashi, being aliens from the commonwealth of Israel. So they were, they were strangers, from basically, the things that pertain, to our nation, the promises, the law, statutes, commandments, and strangers from the covenant of promise, having no hope and without the Most High in the world. So that's basically what their state of being was before Yahawashi. So before Yahawashi, they were the Gentiles. The Israelites that had a Gentile state of mind. They were strangers from the promises, from the covenants, from the commonwealth of Israel. But this is what it says in verse 13. But now in Yahawashi, ye who sometimes were far off are made nigh by the blood of Yahawashi. You see? So when they were not apart, they were made apart because of Yahawashi. Verse 14, for he is our peace, who hath made both one, and hath broken down the middle wall of partition between us. See, so at first there was a division. There was a vision, a middle wall of partition. There was a division between, the uncircumcision and the circumcision. There was also hatred between them. Especially concerning the circumcision towards the uncircumcision, So there was a division. But it says that, Yahawashi, that is our peace, hath made both, he made one. So at first they were separate, but through Yahawashi they became one, and hath broken down the middle wall of partition between us, having abolished in his flesh the enmity. The enmity is hatred. So he basically destroyed, the hatred that was there between, the the circumcision and the uncircumcision. Let me look up what the word abolished goes into. Wow. Don't know what's this, but let me look it up in the FEMA dictionary. It says to do away with, put an end to, or no. So when it says having abolished, he put an end to, the enmity, the hatred, that was there through his sacrifice on the cross. Even the law of commandments contained in ordinances, for to make in himself of twain one new man, so making peace. So, there was a separation, between those that kept the law and that did not keep the law. But Yahawashi had abolished in his flesh that hatred that was there, because of the separation, between those that kept the law and did not keep the law. Because eventually, as we can read in the book of Galatians, we are no more saved by the law, but by the faith that we have in Yahawashi. This is Galatians chapter 2 verse 16. Knowing that a man is not justified by the works of the law, but by the faith in Yahawashi. Even we have believed in Yahawashi, that we might be justified by the faith of Yahawashi, and not by the works of the law. For by the works of the law should no flesh be justified. You see, so that hatred that was there, Yahawashi did away with it, because the law is not that thing which gonna deliver us. It's not gonna give us that salvation, because it's Yahawashi Himself, the faith that we have in Him, that's gonna lead towards that salvation. Of course, Scripture says faith without works is dead. Also means that to the best of your abilities, you gotta keep the law. But don't think that that keeping the law is what's gonna save you. You see. So when we go back to Acts chapter 10, verse 28, where it says, "And he said unto them, ye know how that it is an all lawful thing for a man that is a Jew to keep company or to come unto one of another nation. But the Most High showed me that I should not call any man common or unclean." Because, as things were, before Yahawashi came, the Jews, basically the circumcision, those that kept the law, were not supposed to, keep company or affiliate themselves with those that, didn't keep the law. Those that were being referred to as the uncircumcision. But when Yahawashi came on the scene and He shed His blood for the remission of sins, the Gentiles, those Israelites that had a Gentile state of mind, had a hedonistic state of mind, had a way of coming back to Yahawashi and Yahawashi, through the faith in Yahawashi. That's why it says, but the Most High showed me that I should not call any man common or unclean, because they're not, the outcasts, that they were before Yahawashi came on the scene. They were being brought nigh through the blood of Yahawashi. You see. So with that, I hope this lesson was edifying, and I want to give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahawah, Bahasham, Yahawashi, Bahasham, Qadash. Double honors to the elder apostles of Great Millstone, who teach and rule well, and shalom to the sincere archeons, burnished truth and sincerity. Shalom.